Hello everybody and welcome back for some weekly VR news. As always, I'm Mateo311 and this is your channel for everything VR related. So this is once again going to be a huge week for the VR industry. The biggest game since Half-life Alyx is about to launch, and we'll finally get a glimpse into how much impact that'll truly have. Will it be a system seller? Will the Quest 3 just start popping off shelves this holiday season? Well, we'll find out soon enough. Additionally, it's pretty much business as usual. There's a couple cool games releasing this week. There's some brand new game announcements. Update 60 for the Quest brings some cool new features. And finally, we got a glimpse into some new technology that Quest might have in the future. So let's not waste any more time and jump right into this video. There are of course links and timestamps, but before we get in, I am once again running a massive holiday giveaway. All of my channel's repeat sponsors have been nice enough to donate, plus I have keys from many of my favorite games from 2023. To quickly break down some of the amazing items that are up for grabs, Kiwi Design has a Quest 3 Elite strap with battery pack, and I've always loved and trusted their head straps more than any other product I've used. AMVR is offering up their best-selling item, which is Quest 3 hand straps that, trust me guys, feel really great and allow you to completely open your hands while you're playing games. VR Rock has a free pair of prescription lenses for the Quest 3, and some of the titles that I have available to give away include Demio Battles, Vertigo 2, Assassin's Creed Nexus, Ancient Dungeon, Pistol Whip, and there's a few more new releases that I'll announce at a later date. Now, if you're interested in any of these products, they are listed down in the description with any discount code I may have. And of course, there's also a link to the giveaway. I love having the opportunity to give stuff away for the holidays, and I also have a handful of other Quest 2 products that I've never used, which are up for grabs on my Discord channel. But for now, let's get back to today's video. Okay, so let's start this video off like normal with the check-in, and that's what exactly have I been up to in the VR industry. I know many of you guys have asked me, where is my Resident Evil 4 remake footage? How come I didn't show off that game? How come I didn't review it? Well, I didn't get early access. I only have so much time to get to certain projects. Actually, usually most of my month is planned out ahead of time, and I just wasn't able to fit it in. I'm going to do my best to get in there, get some footage, show it off to you guys, but I don't guarantee it. I definitely want to play through it again. But on top of that, once Asgard's Wrath 2 launches at the end of this week, that's all I'm going to be doing. I mean, I'm just going to be sucked into that game for the next 100 hours. But moving into other new releases for this week, we unfortunately have to start with some bad news. One of my absolute favorite shooters, Vertigo 2, has been delayed for the PlayStation VR 2 yet again. Apparently, a pretty significant bug was found, and they'll have to iron it out before they can release this game. There's no new release date just yet, and I hope they resolve this as soon as possible, because PlayStation VR 2 owners should have this on their holiday wish list. Now, I'll make sure to keep you guys informed of any new updates about this title, but for now, let's move into the rest of this week's releases. First up is Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted 2. This horror-themed series featuring creepy animatronics feels like it's been going on forever. The latest installment has you engaging in a series of mini-games, including everything from dressing up one of those animatronics, to testing your memory, and of course fleeing for your life from Freddy himself. Now, I personally noped out of this series a long time ago, but I know people continue to love this game, so here you go. There's more Five Nights at Freddy's for you. And the PlayStation VR 2 is dropping one more interesting title on the 14th, and that's Not for Broadcast. Now, this was originally a flat-screen game that made its way onto Quest and PC VR. And now PlayStation owners will finally be in control of a nightly news broadcast that goes way off the rails. Not for Broadcast has you sitting back and watching a darkly comedic scene unfold, but you'll also need to be in control of bleeping swear words, keeping the camera on the celebrities, and of course making sure the audience remains hooked to the action. This is a truly unique title, and if the humor lands for you, you're gonna have a fun time. And speaking of humor landing, our next title is Wallace and Gromit: The Grand Getaway. Now, you may or may not be familiar with this animated duo, but they're about to take you on a minigame-filled narrative adventure. I'm expecting this will be similar to something like Sam & Max, this time it's virtual, where you get a cute little storyline and lots of different mini-games to play. They also have a mixed reality mode featuring 30 unique levels. So if you're looking for a cute little animated experience or something that's a bit more kid-friendly, go check out Wallace and Gromit. Now, if you're looking to break a sweat in VR, we have Les Mills Dance. Now, previously this title was being called Les Mills Body Jam, but it looks like their workouts is not the only thing they decided to change up. Now, I don't have much information on this title, but I expect it'll be something like their version of Zumba, so this can be an excellent new VR workout. And indirectly, so could our next title, Racket Club. Now, Resolution Games has already delivered multiple fantastic titles, but Racket Club will be their first true sports simulation title. Now, if you're not familiar with racquetball, it's like a slimmed down version of tennis with more walls to play off of. Now, Racket Club has been specifically designed with the average living room size in mind, so it might not actually be one-to-one with the real life game, but it should give you a close enough experience. Now, this game includes a single player offline mode, but you could also go online for some PvP singles and doubles, and there's also a mixed reality mode. There's plenty of love out there for VR sports games, so I'm expecting Racket Club will do quite nicely. And obviously I saved the best for last with Asgard's Wrath 2 coming out at the end of this week. Now I'm going to discuss this a little bit later in the video because this has the potential to have a huge impact on the overall industry. If you're not familiar with the game, you've been living under a rock. I covered it last week, first impressions. I absolutely love it. Like for me, it is a top-notch game, easily in the top 10. Some people might think I'm taking it too far, but we'll discuss that later. For now, let's move on to a few brand new game announcements that popped up out of nowhere, starting with Swarm 2. The original game was a huge hit for the Quest platform, and now they're not only refining that absolutely amazing combat and locomotion system, but they're trying to make the overall game much bigger in scale. Now, if you're not familiar with the original Swarm, it was kind of like playing Spider-Man with guns. You got the grappling hook swing across the entire level, and then battle a ton of unique robotic enemies, and some truly epic bosses. The game was fantastic in just about every single way, but it did lack the amount of depth I'm usually looking for. So I'm hoping the sequel delivers on that, and I'll definitely cover this game when it releases sometime next year. Now the next announcement is for Thrasher, a trippy looking racing title from the same studio that brought us Thumper. Now unlike Thumper, this game is being designed specifically for VR, rather than starting from flat screen and getting a port. Even though it was just a ported game, Thumper was absolutely amazing in VR, and I have some pretty high hopes that Thrasher can deliver a mind-melting experience. And finally, in new announcements, the developer that brought us the indie puzzle platformer hit Braid is now putting a team together for a VR title. The game will apparently feature a boundary-pushing room-scale design that pushes VR to the forefront and won't feature any stationary or seated gameplay. This is a no-concessions room-scale experience that sounds like it's going to have you doing laps in your own room. Now my expectations are pretty high for this title because Braid brought a whole new platforming experience to flat screen, and it sounds like they're trying to do something similar for VR. Now in hardware news, it looks like Meta could be bringing reverse pass-through to their headsets in the near future. The Mirror Lake prototype was an attempt to make this happen, and Meta is now saying that this technology is finally feasible. Now we already knew this is technically possible because it is an aspect of the upcoming Apple Vision Pro, but that's an insanely priced headset and not for normal consumers. So by Meta saying it's now practical, what it actually means is the technology is cheap enough to include in a consumer priced product like the Quest. Now I personally feel this is an aspect that we do need to include in the future to normalize wearing a headset. It's really weird talking to someone where you can't see their face. You don't even know if they're looking at you, but when you have that reverse pass-through, it brings the person kind of back into reality, and they're not just lost in their own little virtual world. So I'm all for it, and I wouldn't want to spend a huge upcharge for this, but yes, I do want to see this in future headsets. Now, before we get into today's main topic, I just want to go over the major updates in the Quest version 60. Now, if you're a sad Quest Pro owner and you're kicking yourself because you got that headset rather than waiting for the Quest 3, the latest update does include a significant performance increase for the Quest Pro. Now, if you want to talk numbers, that's a 45% increase to the CPU and 19% to the GPU. Now, it's definitely not a game changer, but it's the least they can do after you spent either $1,000 or $1,500 on this headset. Now, the other addition is new Horizon Home environments, if that's something you're looking for. And finally, if you're like me and you constantly have to reset your boundary, well, Meta has made some additional updates here, and going forward, you shouldn't have to do it quite as often. Now, let's get into today's main topic, the fact that VR gaming might be about to change forever. Asgard's Wrath 2 is an extremely significant game. I've called it Meta's Half-life Alyx, and I know some people try to rebut that statement, say no way, that's not possible, but let's break down the facts here. Half-life Alyx was a first-party IP where Valve threw a ton of money into a VR game and wanted to show us, what the hardware can truly do. And for most cases, it was a phenomenal success, and it instantly added 1 million new gamers. Now, Meta is going to try and do the same with all the studios they purchase, starting with Asgard's Wrath. If you don't think it's a big budget title, trust me guys, you're wrong. Just the voice cast alone was probably a small fortune. So this is going to be VR's first AAA style title since Half-life Alyx, and we'll get to see how much it actually pushes the needle. Will it increase sales? Is it a system seller? What's going to happen from this point going forward? You cannot spend tons of money in games without getting a return. Obviously, in the past, Meta has just been burning money to get VR to grow. And I think at this point, they're still okay with that, but they really want to see it shift. They want to see all the money they put into this obviously make a significant return. And if it does, we now have a viable future for AAA games in VR. And also on standalone. I know people are really kicking, standalone. I've done it in the past so many times too. It's not as capable as PC VR. We got to get over that, but PC VR didn't grow. No one's programming specifically for PC VR anymore. We're not going to get another Half-life Alyx, except maybe when the Decker comes out, if it ever does. So for now, this is where we are. The whole industry, unfortunately, is Quest. I know people are getting triggered, but you have to just look at the numbers and face facts. So can the Quest do it? Can the Quest actually support AAA title games? We're going to find out. And that's why this is a very significant point for the VR industry. If Asgard's Wrath 2 manages to make a significant profit, things are on going forward. Studios will be willing to invest more time and money into VR, and games will just continue to get significantly better. Now, throughout 2024, I still only expect bigger titles from Meta, but if Asgard's Wrath 2 is an example of the first-person titles they're going to be bringing going forward, VR will pop off in a way we've never seen before.
And that was today's video, brought to you by my dad, Mateo311. If you enjoyed it, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you're new here,
Consider subscribing.
consider subscribing.
Consider subscribing.
Consider subscribing.
Consider subscribing. We'll see you guys on next time.
We'll see you guys on next time.